everybody. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Julia Keefe, and you are watching Auntie Julia's Music School. I wanted to share some of my musical practices with you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please hit subscribe, and I look forward to learning with you all. Thanks. So one thing as musicians that we do want to be conscious of is how we're holding our bodies. So in our everyday life, we use our body for everything. And whether you are a vocalist or a horn player or a drummer, your body is a huge part of your playing, of your music. And we want to learn how to use our bodies in the best possible ways in order to breathe well and in order to make music. And so I'm going to teach you just the very basics of a technique that actually comes out of the acting tradition, which is Alexander technique. Now, I'm not an Alexander teacher by any means, but I did take some Alexander classes in college, and I found that this technique was amazing. And I use it, and I try to teach it to my students in their private lessons. And this works for vocalists, horn players, drummers, piano players, no matter your instrument, having this sense of where your body is at neutral, where your body is the way that it was built, and using it for freedom and creating space, that helps your musicality so very much. So I'm going to walk you through some of the basics of Alexander technique. Now, I want you to keep in mind that, if there's ever a moment where you feel any sort of pain, stop. Pull yourself out of it. Let it all go. Everything is cool. We want freedom and we want space with this technique. So, if you are standing, which I do suggest you stand, go ahead and stand shoulder width apart with your hips over your feet. Now I want you to imagine, and I want you to send energy down through your legs, and imagine that you are rooting down into the floor. You are anchoring in. You're sending that energy down from the center of your body down. You're just nice and rooted. And now I want you to put your shoulders over your hips. So you're standing just nice, straight, shoulders over hips, hips over feet. Now in that same way, I want you to extend upward, sending energy up the spine and allowing your shoulders to stay nice and open. Imagine your shoulder blades, those little angel wings at the back, they're just draping down your back. You have this nice open space. Now for your head. Now the positioning of your head is actually very, very important. So we sometimes think that standing up straight, we have our very, very straight and rigid with our noses in the air. But the flip side of that is that we have our heads down. We're looking at our phones all day. We're looking at our homework all day. And so our head kind of does just weird things throughout the day and throughout our lives. So for this practice, your head is over your shoulders, and I want you to imagine creating space in the back of your neck. So I want to show you a little bit. So instead of collapsing in here or falling down and overextending here, we're creating a nice amount of space in the back. And you can even put your hand on the back of your head like this and kind of tuck your chin in a little bit. And I want you to extend and release at the top of the spine. So your spine doesn't end right here. It doesn't end here. Your spine actually goes into your skull. And if we're looking at it head on, your spine ends about here. It's just like nice and deep in your skull. So for this, you keep your chin tucked just a little bit, and imagine creating that space and release at the top of your spine. So you have your head over your shoulders, shoulders over hips, hips over feet. Another way of thinking about this, and if you have taken music classes before, you might have heard this. Imagine that you have a string coming out of the top of your head, and you are a puppet. You are a puppet on that string. I like that analogy because it does create this sort of image, this sense of everything just kind of falls into place. Yeah? So we have the string coming out the top of our head, head over shoulders, shoulders over hips, hips over feet. And everything just falls into place along this center line. And remember, your shoulders, your chest is nice and open, your shoulder blades are draping down the back. And go ahead and sit there and breathe in this neutral body. So when our skeleton is lined up as it was built, as we were meant to be holding ourselves, you might feel places of tension in your muscles. And you can just say, it's okay, muscle. It's okay, let it go. Everything's cool. Everything's fine. Because we sometimes hold tension in really weird places and it makes our bodies do really weird things. Like if you get really stressed and you you feel it in your shoulders, that's not creating that space for freedom of movement. Neutral body is the best place for us to be in order to do whatever movements we need to do. Sometimes you see people hunched over playing piano. They're hunched over playing piano. And that can be a part of their artistic expression. But, for our purposes, I want you to think nice, long space, freedom, releasing at the top of the spine, grounding into the earth. That neutral body will set you up not only for good breathing, but also for good sounds.